I'm gonna start this with an uncomfortable story, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
It wouldn't be Don Jolly if it didn't.
Okay, so I'm not trying to say this to be mean to my dad, but he is a gentleman from Texas, actually originally from Washington State, but he grew up in Texas, of a particular generation. He's a boomer, not the anime manga audience.
Not at all.
And he was very upset that, not very upset, but like I think that, he maybe would have been happier if I had grown up to be like a giant Dallas Cowboys football fan, as opposed to being a person who at the age of like 7, like mapped 20th century history according to the releases of Godzilla films and had like developed database style knowledge.
Been there.
Yeah. So when I was in middle school, all my friends played Final Fantasy VII, and they were like, wow, this anime thing is going to be pretty cool. Yeah. So they started getting into Evangelion. Like, this is when everything was happening on Toonami. We were all watching DBZ, and I started to get into anime. I was like, yeah, this is freaking good. This is cool. Yeah. And I'm in middle school. I'm like in the middle of my adolescence, or I'm going through puberty, and my head's whacked out the way that your head is whacked out when you're going through puberty, and so I'm getting into manga, and I go to the bookstore with my mom, and I pick up a copy of Ranma 1/2.
Oh, excellent!
And I come back, and my dad sees that I have this manga, and he says, "What is that? Is that Japanese? Is that one of those Japanese comics?" Because they have sex shit in those Japanese comics. And he grabs it from me and goes through.
I mean, it only takes 10 pages to reach that in Ranma 1/2.
Well, but that's the thing is I'm looking at this comic through my dad's eyes, and I'm seeing the, like, now I'm a girl. And, like, I'm seeing the bare breasts and this one. And then he hands it back to me and he says, this looks fine. Oh, but really? I was so embarrassed by the experience that I like threw the Ranma 1/2 volume away, and I was like, from now on, I'm done with anime. I can't do this. Like, and
funny, you got something familiar right behind your head.
Oh, hey. I mean, like, this is like years later. I would of course start watching Urusei Yatsura on VHS tapes.
Oh, awesome.
I mean, I've never totally gotten away from anime, but like it was. Let's say that it was disincentivized for me to like that stuff. And not just because of the experience with my dad, but it's like there was a very low social capital.
I mean, you're living in America in the 90s. I wouldn't say that it would be considered normal to like anime until at least 2008. Well, or past that.
It's not even that it wasn't considered normal, because I was into plenty of stuff that like wasn't considered.
Well, I mean, you know, like something like acceptable, I guess I'll say.
And I'm not, I know that there's no honor in saying like, I bowed to peer pressure. But yeah, I did. I did.
You're a teenager. What the fuck are you supposed to do?
Absolutely. So I went through this, like, I went to graduate school, and I came out of it with like a ton of student debt. And the realization that like what I wanted to do with my life was like not really possible, and that basically like the rest of my existence was going to be begging people with more money than me to like give me a tiny platform to say only the things I was allowed to say. Like I was interviewing for like journalism jobs, and I would be told straight up. I had a guy from the Religion News Service tell me like, when we're in Brooklyn, we're at this beautiful cafe called Milk and Roses. It looks like a Wes Anderson movie. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm very excited because it's like, this is a fucking interview for like a real fucking job, like a real fucking magazine. And he tells me like, your job is going to be to get Democrats elected. I hope that you understand that. And I'm like, well, yes, sir. And then I fucking leave the place, and I'm like, fuck this, fuck these people. Yeah. Like I basically had a fucking, I had a nervous breakdown in the most positive sense, which is I said, like, everything I've been, like, all these people that I've been trying to placate have just fucked me over so bad. And this is the exact feeling that leads a person to post on 8chan, which I did in the aftermath of that. Because, like, and we were talking about this earlier, I've always had a bifurcated identity in that, like in the way that in the Matrix, when Agent Smith is talking to Neo, he says, like, in one life you're Thomas A. Anderson, you pay your taxes, you help your landlady take out her garbage. Yeah. The other life is lived in computers, and it looks like you're posting a lot of anime girls. but but I've always been an online shit poster. I shit post on something awful, like, you know, I post anonymously or pseudonymously. So like as my writing career was taking off and I was like getting published in magazines, at the same time I was posting anonymously on the internet, and I kind of liked the stuff I was doing anonymously a little better because I you know, I had total freedom. So like when I left graduate school and I felt burned by the fucking establishment, you know, rightly or wrongly, I felt burned. I ended up sleeping on the couch at an internet troll crash house, and I started watching Digibro videos.
Yeah.
And, you know, the big problem that I've had, like, all throughout my life that all of these things stem from is very difficult to find a way to like, have a meaningful life or to feel like you're having a meaningful life, like when you live in a consumerist society, where everything is for sale, like your political identity, even like your traditional identity, or like your identity as a member of your own family is something that you feel like you're buying off a shelf. And it's like, it's caused me so much anxiety. It's caused all these like bifurcations of personality and all this like weird postmodern alienation that everybody seems to experience some like side of. And I ended up watching watching Digi's videos, and suddenly I started to realize, like, you know, I had always had this very judgmental reaction to anime because I was like, this is the worst thing you could be into, you know, this is a bad deal. And I had started to soften up because I had been anime posting and using anime reaction images and stuff on 8chan, on the chans. Because that's just like what you did. Like, even if you weren't an anime poster, like you'd be posting about politics and you put a fucking anime girl on it, and it makes it better. And you know, it was the Evangelion Changed Everything Forever. Yeah, was one of the big ones, and then it was your 2-part on Dragon Maid. Right. Because like Dragon Maid, to me, when I first like started watching that video, this is like everything that like 12-year-old super embarrassed, like my dad's gonna see me looking at tits. Yeah. Like everything that part of me like feared anime is like summed up by the idea of like Dragon Maid, the Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. It's like it's this like, this is the way I looked at it back then. It's a hyper specific fetish niche that's being exploited for money.
Dude, the funny thing about it is that it's not even wrong to think of it that way in a way, except that the guy who writes it is just obsessed with that shit. Well, like, and if you read a lot of his manga, like, all of it is about women with the largest tits you've ever seen in your life, like comic, to the point where it has to be a fetish. You cannot believe that he just incidentally draws women that way, or their lollies, like completely flat chest, or the biggest tits in the world. And lots of lesbians, lots of just particular character tropes that come up again and again. And that's when you realize it's obsession. And if the creators share the obsession with the audience, then there's resonance. And it's like, if they're, you know, they are selling it to you. But the attitude of the otaku is that you are paying tribute to them for giving you what you want. Right, you know? Right. It's not like, it's not seen as... It's not seen as like a trick. They're not tricking you. Yeah. You have to love it. You have to want to support it, or else they can't succeed. And like, all anime is aimed at an extremely niche market. You know, they don't think about the West really in Japan. Like they try to occasionally, but like they mostly are thinking about, will the hardcore people buy 2,000 or 3,000 Blu-rays, which is how much it takes to keep the show afloat. You know, like to make back our money. A couple thousand, you know? That's all the audience they're really looking for, is a couple thousand people, but those people have to care about it so much that they're willing to buy 6 to 10 $70 Blu-rays, you know, which is what they cost in Japan. People will buy multiples if they care enough. Japanese fans, like, they see it as, we are paying tribute to the thing we love. We have to buy everything so they can keep doing it, you know? And it's like, it's a sense of kinship you feel towards the creator, to know, like, oh, I'm not the only person who has these weird sexual hang-ups, you know? And so when you see a show like Dragon Maid that is so fetishistic, but it's so clearly lovingly made. The people who made it, they had no cynicism about it at all. And you watch a lot of anime that is, like, it's cheap and it's shitty and you feel like you're being exploited. And when you see a show that's not like that, it's just like, oh, God, this is everything I could want in life. And it's why specifically, you know, Kyoto Animation getting burned down is like, the worst tragedy imaginable. It's like it couldn't have happened to somebody worse because these are the people who gave you that special connection you were never gonna get, and they cared and they made it good, you know. And it's just like, and I sit in a room surrounded with KyoAni shit, so it's like I could burst into tears any moment. Looking around my room, you know.
No, it was a terrible fucking tragedy. I mean, and you know, the guy's motivations. Initially, I was like, you know, it makes sense that somebody would do this, like basically like an act of terrorism, like motivated by anime, because anime is such a powerful, you know, thing. It's such a powerful way to dispense like ideas and imagery, and it really spreads like more so than I think what we're doing in the West culturally. Like anime spreads out onto the internet where you have people like sharing images from shows that they've never seen that they can't identify, where it's just like, this is just a good way to express being smug.
It's a good meme. And Kyoto Animation in particular, this is something I've been saying for years, that like they capitalize on memes. Like their shows are capable of getting big. Like they have shows that are completely original, that have no like backing, really, like no reason anybody would have heard of it other than that Kyoto Animation made it, and they fill it with GIFs. Like they specifically create animations that loop in on themselves. And like if you watched Haruhi back in the day, Chunibyo de Mokoi Gashitai, if you've heard of that, the girl with the eye patch, you've definitely seen that.
I've seen that. I've seen that.
If you've seen the ones where they're spinning their fingers around like this, that's from them. And like it's just tons of those little GIFs, and that would be the promotion of the show because they're inescapable. The show comes out and those GIFs hit the fucking internet. You've probably seen the one where the girl's doing limbo with her tits, where she has to like shake her tits to get under the bar. Like nobody would have watched that show if not for that fucking GIF. But that GIF was everywhere on the internet after that came out.
See, and this is what I was getting towards. Like I came in with all these preconceptions, like when I watched your Dragon Maid videos, and then I actually like took the step. And like keep in mind, I'm sleeping on a couch, you know, in a pretty rough situation, and I'm like I fucking start watching it, and I realize like it is, you know, it's exploiting this fetish, but it's not like you said, it doesn't feel like exploitation because it's like it's made with so much sincerity, and it's also like thematically, Dragon Maid is a really, I think, sophisticated piece of work about how to live with like happiness and connection with other people in a consumerist society. The episode where Kana goes to school is the one that like really sold me. Like beyond like I'm watching this ironically, like I just want to see what's going on. Like there was a 7-minute clip on YouTube of just the part where Kana's getting her school supplies, and it was just called First Day of School. It wasn't branded with any Dragon Maid shit, and it was like up in the millions of views before it got scrubbed. And I'm wondering how many people watched that had never even, like didn't even know what show it was from, right? But like that episode where, because it's like basically the conceit of Dragon Maid is of course that like all these supernatural creatures come into the human world and have to acclimate to it and find ways to relate to other people, even though they're these like, you know, they're basically devils. Like they're
like demigod dragon creatures who've been alive for thousands of years.
But they're inhuman and they're dangerous. And like there's a character in the show who is, you know,
and they don't really respect human society either. They kind of see it as like lesser and shit.
Well,
maybe not Kana so much, but like the main.
Well, they're judgmental about it, but like they very deeply want to integrate with it. Like even Fafnir, who's the one who's like, I'm gonna burn your world to the ground. Yeah. His murderous impulses are put to bed by playing Dark Souls with his roommate. Which is like, you know,
because his roommate's just the coolest guy, and he's like, to me, he represents like that character represents everything good about otaku and like the culture. Just like the pure inclusivity as like a matter of fact, because it's like the stuff we're into is shunned by everyone. So like we can't exclude people and like come out looking like good people. You know, it's like if you're an anime fan, you realize like the people who are around you, like all of them have been shunned, and like we should do something for each other. You know, it's like you have this instant camaraderie with people, just the fact that they're like, to be willing to admit that you like this shit. It's like I'm always gonna respect somebody the second that they're willing to admit that they're into like weird anime. You know? Like, and it's the bar has moved for me where like, you know, if somebody is like, oh, you're into anime? Yeah, Naruto. I'm just like, yeah, cool, whatever, dude. But like, I don't think more about that. If somebody, like, the other day I was wearing a K-On! Shirt, and like a guy at, like, whatever restaurant I was at. I was like, oh, isn't she from K-On? And I'm like, dude, the fact that you're willing to admit that means we are now spiritually bonded on some level, you know? Like, not everybody is willing to say that K-On is something that you're not degenerate for watching, you know?
Yeah, I don't know anything about K-On, but I did hear that Moogie was best girl.
Oh, yeah, you heard that?
I heard that, yeah. I don't have any personal knowledge.
She's probably the best for shit posting. She has the big eyebrows.
Oh, the Taquan pickles. That's a fucking unbeatable GIF.
That's an awesome fucking GIF.
No, the thing is, like, so you have all these people, like, living in various alienated conditions, right? And it's like, I think a lot of times it's because you're comparing yourself with this idea of, like, what my life should be, right? Like, you're bombarded by this constantly, because this is how advertising works, is they're constantly telling you, like, this is where you should be, this is what you should be doing, this is the pill you should be taking. And, like, how many times do you see a positive portrayal of two people who play video games with each other, and that being portrayed in media as, like, a positive human connection, like a thing that keeps you going, a thing that keeps you from destroying the world.
Yeah.
Like, once I saw that, like, and Dragon Maid is full of those little relationships that are just so humane and, like, so accepting of people. Like, watching the whole thing where Kana is going to school and, like, they go through all they go through all these various stores, and it goes through, like, what's fun about buying things and, like, going to the new fresh store and seeing all the sparkly stuff. And Kobayashi even says, everything's sparkling in my eyes. Everything's shining in my eyes. And, like, they go through and they buy all this stuff. And at the very end of the shopping trip, Kana, you know, the little girl dragon who wants to go to school, she sees this little rabbit keychain. Mm-hmm. And she picks it up because she's just so used to, like, picking up things and taking them to Kobayashi to buy. And she takes it up to the register right when Kobayashi's paying, and she sees that it's 38,000 yen or something, right. And Kobayashi's like, oh, that's more than I expected. I need to pay with a card. Mm-hmm. And then Kana, like, hears this and feels guilty. Like, I didn't realize I was costing her this much. Yeah. And suddenly it's that terrible moment that happens all the time in consumer society where it's like, am I worth this? Yeah. Like, am I, because everything's a marketplace, like, am I worthy of the market? Like, am I a good product? Am I worth this investment?
Yeah.
And, you know, Kana puts the keychain back. And it's, you know, it's very Japanese interaction where, like, you know, I see that you are put out, but, like, we're not going to talk to each other about it for now. And then by the end of the episode, you know, spoilers for fucking Dragon Maid, but Kobayashi buys Kana the rabbit keychain. Yeah. Which, you know, could be like a very, you know, pat moment where it's like, yeah, you are worth it. But she gives Kana, like, a little talk and says, like, you know, I value you, I love you, I appreciate you, and, like, you aren't, like, it's not about the money. Like, this is a deeper connection. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I fucking watched that episode and I cried because, like, you know, you just very rarely see humane messages like that. And then I was like, you know, if what it takes to keep this humane message in the world and to broadcast it out to millions of people is to cater to the fucking maid fetish, and to have, like, all, like, Elba, you know, eating sweets and having gigantic breasts, and, you know, like obviously there's exploitative parts of, you know, they want to cater to, like, these specific niche things, right?
Yeah.
But, like, if you can use that to create a vehicle for, like, powerful and relevant theming and storytelling, which I think so much anime does, it's like, it really, it was a really, like, you know, it was a really big experience because it's like, I think that there's so much people that are put out or feeling alienated, like, there's a real tendency to just make angry work about how much everything sucks.
Yeah, I mean, you know? Anime does that too.
Oh yeah, sure, I mean, well, like everything does. Yeah. But, like, you know, I look at like Cowboy Bebop or Ava or something, and it's like, these are not, like, they're not angry, like, they're not hateful pieces of work. Like, you know, you can get this thematic complexity. You basically, like, the thing that I realized, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like, the Japanese have figured out a way to take, like, exploitative, like, capitalist media practices and combine them with genuine artistry in a way that I think, you know.
I think it comes down to, this might sound like a non sequitur, but Andrew Yang, who I'm a big fan of.
Okay.
His thing is he wants to bring us into a society called human capitalism.
Yeah.
That's like his buzz term, and I really love it because like I generally consider myself to be like in favor of capitalism as a system.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that the problem with it is it's mostly the implementation, and it's the idea that like it has to be this all or nothing. It has to be either like anarcho-capitalism or communism, and it's like, well, we can have capitalism and the good things about it, and then just like be aware of when we're being a piece of shit and not do that. You know, like just hold ourselves accountable and like say you like more even than you can't do this. Just don't reward bad behavior. Like don't like boycotting in theory should work. You know, don't buy things from people who do evil things. But like so much of our society is built around obfuscating the evil. You know, it's about the companies not letting you know that they're doing something evil, or just tricking you into buying it anyways, or, you know, competing with each other in these underhanded ways. But it's like you could, you know, regulate some of that, inform people better, make sure people know where their money is going. And like, I think Japan is just a little bit more advanced in that regard. Like, I think that their society just has a better understanding of like, you know, not so much that they're like more transparent, but just maybe there's just more trust in the corporations to do right. You know, like you don't get the sense that like all these Japanese corporations are totally evil. I mean, some of them have evil practices. Like Konami is not a very liked company. You know, Sony's made some mistakes, but like you think of a company like Nintendo, and you're like, if the corporations are trying to be my father, Nintendo's been a good father to me. You know, like I don't mind. Like I don't mind that corporations have so much influence if they're good, and like I want people to just to recognize whether what they're doing is good or not. Do they have your best intentions in mind? Do they want something good for you? And like with anime, I think that the relationship between fans and creators is just stronger in that sense, that like because they appeal to such a small crowd, it's like they really have to have your best interest in mind. Like even if it's just making trashy fan service shit, like it has to be good. You have to be able to come, you know. If I can't come, I'm not buying the Blu-ray, you know. So like they, you know, I guess it's just like they can't get away with being evil and corporate and make anime, because anime can't be corporatized. It's too autistic. Like it will never have mass appeal. Just the fact that it's animated at all. Like you look at something like these stupid fucking Disney remakes, and like the only reason they're profitable is that to normies, literally live action is just better than cartoons. Just flat out, because it's real in their mind. There was a time my dad, this fucking blew my mind to shit. One time I was trying to get my dad to watch anime, and he was like, you know, I'm not really into, like, you know, I'm like more into nonfiction than fiction. And I was like, you watch TV shows all the time. Like, you've watched Game of Thrones 6 times. It's fiction. Like, but I got what he meant. Like, he can't relate to cartoons because he doesn't see it as people. He just sees it as...
Yeah, but well, I mean, it's always been something with me. It's like, people are like, I don't watch anime. That's like saying I don't watch live action. Like, there's not one genre of anime.
Exactly. And it's always been strange to me when people say it. They're like, oh, yeah, I don't watch that stuff. And I'm like, why? Like, I'm sure I can find one you'll like. I'm sure of it. There's so many of them. There's thousands and thousands of anime in every genre, every type of person. Like, you know, but like, it is also a thing where you kind of have to find the specific one that is for you, you know, where like, I don't think anybody... If somebody tells me, like, my favorite anime is, you know, something that's in Shonen Jump, I'm going to assume you haven't seen that many. Yeah. Because the point of the medium, in my eyes, is that, like, you've got that broadly appealing stuff. And I think that stuff, the best thing it does is to draw attention, draw you deeper in, you know? And, like, that's kind of what I consider my channel to be. Like, I am a deep lore otaku guy. My videos are not deep lore videos. Yeah. They're meant to drag people who are kind of into anime deeper into anime.
Yeah, it worked, you fucker.
Yeah, that's always been my mission. It's just like, I want you to recognize that there is one for you. Yeah. And when you find it, it will change your life, you know, because you'll be like, oh, fuck, no, I've never related to anything this powerfully before.
Well, once you see Blend S, you just can't go back.
Once you, but
there's just no going back.
There's just no going back after. I haven't gotten to Blend S yet.
Don't.
I
just don't.
Yeah. I haven't even. I haven't watched any new shows yet. But this season, I mean, I watched Vatican Miracle Investigators. I think that's the last thing I watched.
The fuck is that?
Did you know what it was like last year? It was about
Vatican Miracle
Investigators.
I think I might have sampled it or
Is
something.
that real?
I mean, I would be surprised if anybody but me got outside the first 3 episodes because it is like deeply boring. But like, I'm gonna give you the fucking. I'm gonna give you the.
Yeah, give me the elevator pitch.
I'm gonna
deeply boring anime.
Okay, I'm gonna give you the elevator pitch here for Vatican Miracle Investigators. It's about 2 yaoi detectives, 2 like coded gay, but they're not really gay, but unless like those guys, except they work for the Vatican and they have to investigate whether miracles are legitimate miracles or whether they're some kind of fabulism, which is a real thing that the Vatican has, by the way, because like if you have a saint or a miracle, a miraculous event or an appearance of the Virgin Mary, and you want it to be sanctioned by Catholicism, the Vatican has to thoroughly vet it and investigate it. When I was at, I went to St. Edward's University in Texas, a Catholic school run by the Brothers of the Holy Cross, and they had a guy get sanctified while I was there. His name is Andre Bissett. They've got his heart in a jar of pickle juice in Toronto, Canada, or something.
What the fuck?
No, like because they keep relics of saints, and so this guy was in the process of being like, is he going to be approved or not for like many years, right? So in preparation of this, they preserved his heart in a jar. Except
religion is fucking weird, dude.
Yeah, what the fuck? That's weirder than any anime I've ever seen.
Well,
for the record.
but you haven't.
Well, I guess it shows up in this anime, right?
Yes, it does.
Oh,
because
Jesus.
so like, but the one asterisk on that is that the heart was briefly stolen. So while the Vatican did sanctify Brother Andre Bissett, the heart is not officially the relic of a saint, but it's almost the relic of a saint because they're pretty sure it's the same heart. It might be a different heart though.
They have no idea.
They have no idea. But that's how intense the Vatican is. Is like the heart disappeared for 3 days and then the heart returned and they're like, well, we don't know if it's the same heart, so technically not a relic. Okay. You know, so they send out these investigators. That's a real thing. And it's about 2 Vatican miracle investigators who are dispatched to America to investigate I think a case of stigmata at like a Catholic school, except the people who made the show know a lot about Catholicism and absolutely nothing about America.
Yeah.
So it's like America looks like the Old West and the 40s and Nazi Germany and also like trees. Because they don't want to fill in the background, and people are always like, you know, they throw in all these place names, but they're not even places that are close to each other. It's like people are in Colorado, and then they're like, oh, slightly north of here is New York, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, I've always loved anime's portrayal of the United States. Like, what's the one with the guys like, hey, you boys want some fucking hot dogs? That's like the first anime clip I ever saw on the internet. Was like this.
Fuck, I don't even know that one.
It's like this dude. He's like a cowboy in the middle of Japan selling hot dogs. And he's like, you boys want some fucking hot dogs? I'll hook you up with ketchup and mustard for like a fucking $1, dude.
They always say fuck a lot.
Oh, yeah. Which, to be fair, I guess we do.
There's a fucking great clip from this show called The Legend of Black Heaven. You'll find this clip by searching for, like, best portrayal of a black person in anime or something like that. But
is that the one where he gets the shit beat out of him?
Yeah, it's like this super gigantic, jacked, bald black guy, but his voice is clearly like a shrimpy white dude. And he's like, hey, you fucking Jap, what are you doing? You know, like it's like this humongous dude. Like, you know, he's like, his mouth is animated in a way like he's screaming, but the voice is like, I'm gonna. He like throws him and says, say goodbye, say hello to the people in Jersey for me. Throws him through a billboard.
We're talking about bad portrayals of America, but I do think we should focus on the fact that like there is some anime that's like incredibly accurate. Like Mad Bull 34 is a documentary. That's a documentary.
Dude, Mad Bull is one of the greatest anime ever.
Yes.
Yeah, Mad Bull is one of the greatest. Absolutely.
You know, the funny thing is that Mad Bull is like, it was infamous as like an awesomely bad anime for a very long time. It's just good. There's nothing wrong. Like, people just say that because it's like very exploitative and violent. So like people want to say like, oh, it's really bad. It's really uncouth. No, it's fucking great. It's legitimately good. The writing is great. The characters are fun, and like, yes, it is violent and exploitative, and It's chauvinistic, but it's still good.
The show opens up with there's a black guy and a white guy committing a crime, and they kill the black guy and arrest the white guy. Like, that's how it opens.
I mean, look,
it's
like
not
Mad Bull 34. Like, people say it's exploitative or whatever, but like, look, I lived in New York for 7 years, dude. Mad Bull 34 is a fucking documentary. That shit happens every fucking day. Mad Bull, like, look, okay, sure. Did Mad Bull, like, almost commit a rape at the end of fucking the second OVA? Yeah, but he did it to save the girl from getting her heart broken because she was in love with him, dude.
Yeah.
He had to come on strong. Anyway, I don't know where to go.
It was created by the original creator of Mad Bull is like one of the most legendary manga authors. A guy named Kazuo Koike who also did Lone Wolf and Cub.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, I think it's the same guy. So if I'm wrong about that, I'm gonna get crucified.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's the Lone Wolf and Cub
If
guy.
you can find the Mad Bull manga, it has some of the best reaction pictures that you can crop out.
Oh my
I think
god.
so.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has that ever been released in English.
I mean,
that
there's
I
there's
don't know.
there's
There
fan
has to be,
translations
yeah.
for sure.
Okay.
I found a copy on like the manga site that I use that was like, I mean, it was ancient JPEGs, just like fucking the lowest resolution, man. And I was like, this is the perfect way to read the Mad Bull 34 manga.
Fullylegalmanga.ru, right?
Yeah, fullylegalmanga.ru, and it's like, if you're willing to put up with porn ads with sound, this is gonna be the best manga site for you. Don't actually go. We don't know if that's a real website. Don't actually go to that.
Holy shit.
Because that like totally legal manga actually sounds even worse. Than, like, but you know that's the thing is it's like when you're saying that I mean I just to go back a little bit, this is what I was trying to get at. We were talking about Nintendo in the car, and you were saying like if Nintendo wants to be my father, I'm comfortable with that.
That wasn't in the car. That was like 5 minutes ago.
No.
Don and I on our way up here, we were actually.
Oh, you had the
discussing-
same conversation.
No. We had a similar conversation, but like. I just played Mario Odyssey, right? Like I'm suspicious of all forms of power, but especially corporate power because it's very opaque.
Yeah.
You know, because there isn't a lot of like ways in to figure out what their decision-making process is. And I also think that the larger a company gets, the more cross pressures are working on the people in charge of it.
Yeah.
It basically like I think of a corporation or basically like the major economic units of life on the planet today are these sort of like animal intelligences that are created like that contain individual human beings as like cells connected by technology, and they sort of act with this reptilian intelligence, which is more profit. So I read enough H.P. Lovecraft to say that I don't want to be ruled by dark gods with like Azathoth, the like insane god at the center of the universe. I don't want that. But
you know, I fucked up in my light novel because I made the main villain is Yog-Sothoth, and it was supposed to be Azathoth. I got it mixed up.
Well, like Yog-Sothoth is a much better villain because Azathoth just like the terror of Azathoth is that like Azathoth is God.
Yeah.
Like he created everything. And he's a fucking moron. This is he's an idiot. He like actually can't perceive anything. He's just a fucking. He's just
all I really knew about him is that like is he's the one who, like, if you speak his name, the universe ends, right? Or is that Cthulhu? Who has that?
No.
That's like another.
I don't know if that's like that. There might be because there's the poem Azathoth. Azathoth shows up in a couple of different things, and the thing is like so.
When you say you've read a lot of Lovecraft, do you just mean Lovecraft himself, or like Cthulhu mythos built around him by like his guys?
So no, like I actually think that like okay, this I'm gonna do a different thing about this, but I'm a huge Lovecraft reader. Yeah. Lovecraft is a shit poster. He is a much better shit poster than he is a writer, actually.
Interesting.
Like because he lived, like he was a very isolated individual.
Yeah.
He had a whole network of people that he communicated with all across the country, and like pretty much everybody that H.P. Lovecraft wrote letters with ended up having a writing career. He was fucking super inspirational. He was a creator of pathways like Robert Bloch, all kinds of Fritz Leiber, all kinds of fucking really important, especially horror and fantasy authors, were communicating with him. And Lovecraft wrote. Like I think we have right now about 30,000 of his letters, and he wrote even more than that.
And these are not small letters.
These are like him and Robert Howard had like I have 2 volumes of it. they had a multiple year correspondence of like 20-page letters debating the relative merits of civilization. Robert Howard, of course, being the writer who created Conan the Barbarian. And Lovecraft is saying, like, civilization is, it's the purpose of human beings. We have to create more organized societies. And Robert Howard is saying civilization is fucking bullshit. I'm gonna go out and bust a guy's head with a battle axe. Like, that's what I'm about.
It's like just a conversation between the left and right hemispheres of my own brain. It sounds
pretty much, yeah. But the thing is, like Lovecraft's social Lovecraft had a post history. And you could say that, like, that intellectuals or figures from before Lovecraft's time, that they also had a large social existence in correspondence. Right. I mean, you've always had great epistolary writers. Horace Walpole is perhaps better known for his letters than his literary works. People don't think much of the Castle of Otranto today, but they do read the letters of Horace Walpole because, like, that's one of the...
Do you think one day that, like, our fucking Discord archives are going to be like this to people?
I fucking hope not.
Yeah. I don't know about Discord. I mean... We don't know how any of this stuff is going to get preserved, but the one thing that we do know about, like, how posting is going to, like assuming that industrial civilization doesn't totally collapse, which I'm going to assume.
It's a brave assumption.
Like, the most transmittable information that we have now is text.
Yeah.
Like, if you can break something down into a .txt file, I think that is a very fucking durable, like, format.
Yeah.
Because basically the thing that makes digital stuff hard to access is the platform goes down or there isn't a way to read it.
Yeah.
And, like, I think a lot of stuff on the internet is going to end up being very ephemeral. But
anything that's in the cloud, I don't trust it.
No,
it's just
for
like,
sure.
And even, like, physical, because my fucking hard drives die all the time. And it's like, I'm always having this fear of, like, all it takes is one flood and a server going down and all my shit's gone, you know?
It's rough, because, like, you can't be the guy with, hard drives stashed everywhere in fireproof safes because then you look crazy, but then if you don't...
And it's expensive.
You can get fucked,
Yeah.
And I
have thousands and thousands of content pieces on the internet. I don't even know where all of it is. Like, there's lots of stuff I don't know if I have it somewhere, you know? Like, it might be that it is literally gone and I just don't even realize, But it's terrifying.
I mean, the best insurance against it isn't actually, like, putting your hard drive in a fireproof safe or whatever. It's like, keep the file size low and make it transmittable. Make it something that people don't have to break their backs to save.
Preserve, right.
And like, that's the thing is, like, there's fucking .txt files from the early fucking 80s and you can find, like, archives. Like, that's where I got the Anarchist Cookbook.
Hell yeah.
That helped me do a lot of anarchy. But, like, hey, thanks, fucking dude who typed that up in .txt format in, like, 1985 because I still have that. And, like, I think I've got it on my fucking phone. Like, that text file is never going to die because it's, like, it's just so fucking easy to transmit it as long as this technology exists in some format.
Well, I mean, TXTs are small enough. You can instantly just drop them in Discord, and even with a 4G connection, it's downloaded in under a second.
You're making me, like, realize the need to preserve TXTs because, like, all my shit's video. It's huge, like, and granted, I almost never, like, render shit above 720p, like, pretty much because, like, it's too much fucking space being taken up, and, like, there are people who have, like, full, or are trying to build full archives of all my content, like, fans of mine who are filling hard drives with my shit, but, like, it is a lot of fun. I have thousands of videos, which is why YouTube's the only place someone like me can even go. Like, I literally could not post the volume of content I do on any other website except for BitChute now.
Yeah.
How's that even going though? I mean, BitChute's been really shaky for a long time.
Is it? Because
I mean, I know it's had issues in the past.
Well, when you say issues, like stability issues?
Well, I don't know. Like, it's always had buffering issues and everything. It's like YouTube in the early days, right?
Well, because it's entirely peer-to-peer. So, like, I think basically BitChute has, like, one dedicated seed of your video when you post it, but, like, ideally it's other people are seeding it to you. I don't entirely know how it works.
Well, it seems like you have to have an outside audience. Like, you can't upload something and have people find it because people can't really load it because it's still buffering.
Well, and you got to worry about that too because it's like, I did a story when I did an article for Penthouse about MDE. It was when their YouTube channel had been taken down, and I had a contact at Google, and I called I got in touch with the YouTube support people, Like the people that
I
are.
can't believe you got away with that without having 1 million subscribers. Like, you
Oh,
know how
I mean,
hard it is to reach YouTube.
I should also
support
specify.
sometimes?
Yeah, but
I have-
like, you know, fucking I got like this was before subscribers. Like this was published in Penthouse magazine. Like Jetta Bag issue of Penthouse magazine had this story. It's like fucking something in 2015. I don't know, you can find it. But I got in touch with the people who were actually in charge of like determining, you know, when you would scrub shit off of YouTube, when you would scrub a channel. And I asked them like, okay, what's your procedure? Like, how do you do this? And they were like, we have a procedure.
What does that mean?
And I was like, well, what is the procedure? And they're like,
They're not going to tell you
we've
that.
got a procedure.
They're so fucking secretive about everything.
But they
fucking hate you.
But this is the thing I figured out, because then I started like saying like, okay, well, like what is their procedure? I started trying to figure it out, and then I saw how many fucking minutes of video were uploaded on YouTube every second, even back in 2015. Every minute. I mean, I found some like some numbers on it, and like there is way more shit being uploaded to YouTube than these people have time to actually
there's
like,
no
look at.
fucking way they have any idea. Like, the only way they're gonna look at something is if it has gone through like 3 gates of getting to them. You know, it's like if your video gets taken down by Content ID, you know, nobody was involved in that. If you have it reinstated, nobody's involved in that. If they, you know, if you get a copyright strike and you have to fight that, usually nobody's involved with that either. Like, at no point is somebody looking at your video and confirming. It's more like a studio is saying, we took your video down, and you're saying, hey, sue me or put it back up, and they go, okay, because they don't want to sue you. You know, like,
Well, this is a thing.
it's all just built to broadly take off as much bullshit as possible. Like, it's not targeting you. You're just getting caught in the nets, essentially, you know, of them trying to take off. Because you have to assume that as soon as, like, Wonder Woman comes out on DVD, it's uploaded to YouTube probably 700,000 times, like, immediately. And those have to be taken down as fast as they're uploaded.
Yeah, and it is interesting because you can find, like, old anime OVAs full. Like, not
as long as
edited.
nobody's looking for it.
Yeah.
As long as it hasn't been put into Content ID, then it's still up.
Which is one of the best things about YouTube. It's like,
Yeah.
basically all the cool shit is free now because Disney and Warner Brothers and Google don't give a shit about what's good.
Yeah.
Like, you want to watch old monster movies from the 50s? Holy shit.
Go watch Metropolis. It's on there. You know,
Well, you can watch the original Dream Hunter Rem hentai OVA on YouTube, like for free, and it's uploaded like 8 times.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's incredible, and like that's the best thing about YouTube is its archival purpose, which is what it was created for. Like the original guy who made it said he like wanted to be a repository of clips, basically, and like it still functions as that really well, assuming it's clips that aren't, you know, nobody's trying to make money off of. But there's tons of clips, tons of amazing clips nobody's trying to make money off of.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
I mean, the thing when I was talking to the Google people about MDE though, it's like they had scrubbed this whole channel. It wasn't like a copyright complaint, and like, you know,
I have to assume that was from complaints and.
I mean, but this is 2015. This is before they were even on Adult Swim, so it's like.
Well, and there was more than one channel too. I mean, $1 Million Extreme 2 is still up with everything, just with baked-in advertisements at a lower resolution.
Yeah, but so this was a period before, like, this was in 2015. This was before Trump, before the nightmare of the derangement, and like, you know, MDE made like pretty hot content, but they weren't doing what they would. Like what Sam would end up doing on Twitter like later that year. So it wasn't like they were scrubbing it because it was just like directly like, you know, inciting violence or something like that. So I was like, this is a thorny issue. This isn't a copyright complaint. This is a thing where you decided to scrub a channel because of like some kind of content violation. So I was like, ultimately, I think they say like they're opaque about their procedures because I don't think they actually have one.
Yeah.
Like, and you can get into the position where MDE was, where it's like, I'm making my living on your platform, and now
they just get rid of you and they don't care.
And now I'm gone.
Do you know about Monkey Jones?
Yeah, I was actually gonna say he just got his whole shit flagged, and
with him, he had already had his channel taken down several times. Like, he had been because he had a Boku no Pico video that kept getting community guideline strikes and like. You don't know Boku no Pico?
Let's just keep it that way. Let's just keep it that way.
It's the most... No, you fucking have to know it if you've been on the chans. Like, it's the biggest meme. It's just a...
It's just a Shota anime.
It's a Shota porn. It's like... It's a really like
I'm making a face. I'm making a face.
It's a very well animated, very beautifully crafted porn about a little boy who looks like a little girl having sex with an older guy.
Oy.
And a lot. And it's legendary. And like generally on 4chan, like if you ask like what anime should I watch, the answer is always Boku no Pico.
Oh god.
I love that copy pasta. Don't watch anime called Boko.
Yeah.
I love that, dude.
But,
yeah, I mean, like, you know, it's
well, we were talking about Monkey.
Yeah,
and,
Monkey
like,
Jones.
Sorry.
So he'd been pulled off a few times because of that, but like, what ended up happening is he has all these videos about Elliot Rodger. He's like the Elliot Rodger guy, you know. At some point, I think this might have even been in the wake of like a shooting or in the wake of his name getting more into like the mainstream media. He was shut down because of his Elliot Rodger content, but in such a way where every time he tried to make new accounts, they would immediately be banned. Like, he was blacklisted from YouTube, and for at least a little while, they were, like, policing it, like, making sure he was gone, because they didn't want this Elliot Rodger content. Who the fuck demanded it?
Yeah.
That's because it had to be at somebody's behest. Like, it seems like it was the prevailing theory was that the CIA wanted it gone.
Oh, I think it was the FBI.
Or FBI.
Because there was a guy who called him the Dick Masterson show. Remember that?
The guy who... There was an FBI guy who said that they were showing, like, his incels video at, like, an FBI screening event or something.
It was like an outside contractor came in to give a presentation about the rise of the incel threat. And they showed the
fucking Monkey Jones incel video, which I'm in, by the way.
Because I hope you're also aware that you're in the FBI's most wanted.
Well, I do voice acting in it, because the whole video is that he went to r/incels and just pulled a bunch of hilarious clips, and like it was just like me and him and a bunch of other creators he knew just like reading all these funny things posted on r/incels, which is like... The fact that incel has become something people are afraid of is the goofiest, funniest thing to me in the fucking world. Yeah, I could not think anything was funnier. Like, listening to the news report on incels.
Well, no, I love
big
it.
Belly gut laugh every fucking time.
I love that the face of Al-Qaeda in 2019 is a fucking anime gif.
Well, because this is the thing. Like, I remember people were saying I was insane about this when I was in high school, because it's like, you know, 9/11 happened, and then suddenly it was like... You know, it was coded with, like, we have to be accepting of our Muslim brothers, but, like, these are the people you should be afraid of. They're going to fucking destroy your whole world. Like, it's all fucked.
Like that.
And I was like, you know, okay, so we've created this system whereby we can perpetually be at war because we have an unidentifiable enemy that's mostly just, like, guys with, what's up? It's mostly just...
He's trying to, like, signal me to something.
Like, it's mostly just guys in pickup trucks in Soviet, surplus weaponry. And, like, you know, we created this reliable national boogeyman. And I said, you know, once you create a society that functions on, like... You know, I mean, obviously we had this like with the Soviets for many, many years. So this is probably why we had that pivot point after 9/11. But, like... once you create a society that depends on having like a constant insurgent threat to justify constant war against everybody, everywhere, it's only a matter of time until the nature of that threat is going to change and you're going to be under the gun. Yeah. And as a fucking, as a fucking isolated nerdy guy, like the fact that it's come around to being like incels are the fucking worst thing in the world. Incels are terrorists. Like,
yeah, you know, it's rough, man. Like.
I mean, but it's predictable.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it's not. You can't say you didn't see it coming.
I did.
But it is pretty rough.
I mean, I understand if people are like feeling really, because I see, I saw people posting on the chans that are like, I don't have anything in my life. Like, I can't get laid. I'm fucking nowhere. And now everybody thinks I'm the fucking devil.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I mean, if there was anything that was going to guarantee that incels were going to become shooters, it's constantly telling them that they're going to become shooters. Like,
or like if there's anything that's going to guarantee like Islamist aggression against the West,
right,
it's like confirming them as our major existential
I mean, that's
threat.
Literally. Have you ever like watched ISIS recruitment videos?
Oh yeah, of course.
They're like,
oh, this is so bad. Oh my god, Boku no Pico to ISIS in like fucking 3 steps.
I was worried about. I really hope I'm not fucking up your podcast. I don't want to I don't know what I'm doing, so I don't want to fuck up your Boku no Pico ISIS podcast. You know?
This is the fucking darkest roast possible. Yeah.
No, it's funny. And I actually haven't, but I had heard from I think my mom
For the record, I also had never seen an ISIS recruitment video.
I think my mom randomly saw one, and she told me it had really opened her eyes to why they were so radicalized, because she was like, this makes America look so bad. It's just videos about the honest truth about how all the bad things America has done to the Middle East, and it just tells people hey, here's how they treat your people, and here's what they've done there. Do you want to do something about it? And it's you watch that and you go, yeah, that sounds like a big problem.
Well, I disavow that.
Disavow. We're gonna do the disavow on that one.
It is interesting how it's
I'm disavowing Boku no Pico as well.
Yeah. No, it's we've tried.
I'm re-avowing Boku no Pico.
I'm in a moral gray area.
I also have not actually watched Boku no Pico. Which is actually kind of a mark of shame.
We
for
should
me,
probably have a viewing party.
No, I'm avowing not watching Boku no Pico.
Anyway, no, it's the military-industrial complex turns these countries into nothing but a cog to just generate profit for the defense industry, and then we're supposed to be surprised when we get pushback. You know what?
Well, it's that's the thing that's interesting to me about the incel thing, and Pete Buttigieg was on the campaign trail saying, I mean, he's not going to be president. I'm not saying that, but he was saying that his experiences in military intelligence, and I could take those skills that I learned in the Middle East and apply them to domestic threats here, and it's he's talking about specifically the El Paso shooter, who's he's not an at least I don't think I haven't seen him identified openly as an incel, but it's definitely part of that thing where it's he's an internet guy who went crazy and shot up a thing.
Was he?
Yeah. Well, he posted the manifesto on 8chan, and it's horrible shit. It's that guy, yeah. But
we did a video about that.
Yeah,
right?
that's the shootings and shitpost. But the utility of having this thing where it's your isolated son is Al-Qaeda now.
Yeah.
It's that justifies so much spending. I could see, you're saying, the FBI were watching a Bub Q. Jones video at a training conference. It's how many people are getting paid out, man? Off of this narrative of paranoia and fear that is it's so close to home. It's hey, your cousin who never brings a girlfriend to Thanksgiving, and he's a little off. He's got that Hidari sticker on his car.
You know how he's always quoting shit he read on the internet and laughing, and you don't think it's funny because it's too edgy.
Yeah. That guy's gonna fucking kill you, so you better report him to the cops.
Yeah. If you don't have a girlfriend, you need to come out as gay right now, or the FBI will get you. It's the only solution, guys. I'm sorry.
I'm gay.
Yeah.
No, but no. Seriously, it's you create this engine of We should just have shirts "Don't shoot me, I'm gay."
Yeah. Holy shit.
Oh, that's pretty dark. That's dark. No, I mean, the fucking paranoia engine is it's so gross to me that it continues to work even though we've been living with this thing for 20 years. And it's at one point when I was living in a warehouse in New York, I was living with a Moroccan guy, and we were talking about the Quran a lot, and about his faith and what it's like coming from Morocco, and what it's like working in the United States and going back to Morocco, and there seems to be a pretty broad agreement across cultures as to what the big problems of the world are. And it's the American military industrial complex, unchecked corporatism, alienation, there's just this broad sense of agreement. And the fact that we still allow ourselves to have CNN get out in front of us and say okay, this is the new enemy, and to have it stimulate all this economic activity with full public justification without people just calling bullshit is very strange to me.
I can't believe they're getting away with incels specific. That's what makes it so funny to me, is how can you possibly tell me that virgins are the enemy? Yeah, I'm afraid of guys who can't get laid. What the fuck are you talking about? They don't leave their house. Speaking personally, I wouldn't even have had the courage to speak to somebody who sold guns. Yeah. The people I know online, they don't leave their house. They're not, incels aren't out there buying guns and going on mass shootings. It's like you have to be a certain kind of person. Like Elliot Rodger was not just some garden variety incel. He was like a weird, rich, like guy from a weird background where his parents
Elliot
treated
Rodgers
him really weird and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, he was an incel in a sense. Like, that was his motivation. But, like, he was a fucking crazy person. Like, it's not the fact that he was an incel. It's the fact that he was out of his fucking mind.
Well, and he didn't follow the incel mold. Like, he would go out to Starbucks, but he expected because he drove a BMW, girls should come talk to him.
Talk to him, right? Yeah, and, like, his mindset is fucking... Nobody has that mindset. There is nobody in the incel community who is like Elliot Rodger.
Well, and it's particularly tragic because a lot of these people are people with histories of sexual abuse or whatever, and they're having a lot of trouble with it, and then they're being fed these cultural narratives that they're the new Al-Qaeda, and it's like, it's fucking horrible, really.
It really is.
Yeah, it's a terrible, terrible thing.
I don't want to bring the mood down. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but like it fucking depresses me. Cause
dicks and balls and cocks and dicks. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, let's lighten it. Let's lighten it up.
Well, we should take a break so we can go. So I can procure some things that
let's get some things.
So I'd like to
get some things.
Make a purchase, if you will.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. Rejoining. This is a podcast. So I'm just gonna edit out the part where we're not here.
So let's talk about D Live.
Yes.
Because the last thing I heard about D Live was that PewDiePie was going over to it because he had just gotten in some tiff with YouTube. And I think he did so on a limited capacity, but I haven't seen it show up much in the media stream, or in my particular media stream since then.
I don't think it was that he was in a tiff with it as much as he received a payout to stream there.
Oh, he did?
I think. I thought that was the story. I didn't follow it that closely.
Yeah, see, I didn't follow it closely either.
If true.
But
it's just a sponsored stream,
Yeah.
But, like, Digi knows a lot about this, so could you just kind of go into D Live?
I know less about D Live than I do about DTube.
Okay.
But D Live, as I understand it, is built on the blockchain, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I would assume that's why they're using the same initial thing. I don't know if it's like the same people
It's not associated. It's not. I'm pretty sure it's not associated because DTube is down. And
DTube. Well, the funny thing about DTube is it was like it ran on the blockchain, but it just did not have enough like servers hosting the blockchain that it was built on to handle the bandwidth of all the shit that was being uploaded. Just because, like, the way that the blockchain works is that it's just hosted by anybody who gives server space to it, essentially, and like people build server farms just to service the blockchain, and that's all fine for like money transactions, which are not a huge load on anything, but like fucking hundreds of hours of video is a huge fucking load, and like it was just a matter of if people were willing to like invest in it, then there's no reason it couldn't have worked in a way, but like I think it was just built by some guys who probably just didn't have any connections or any way to make it grow. Because it seemed to be like a very grassroots project. And like the guy who was building it had like a devlog where he was literally explaining why it couldn't work. Like why he was like, hey, I know DTube is like a dream. And like, I hope that we can eventually make this work. But there's just not enough server space to do this. And so what this gave rise to, though, is that like, the blockchain is kind of like the one of the more ideal forms of having things online because it's hosted between all these different people. There's no like central control of it. It's information that exists on so many different places at once that nobody has ownership over it, essentially. So like whereas YouTube they have your videos in servers. That's just the way it works. It's all just uploaded. They have insane amounts of server space paid for by Alphabet, and the way that YouTube makes money is not directly, it's through the sale of the user data that they collect from your video viewing habits, and like your reactions to ads. So like the ads on the videos are another revenue stream, but it's not the main revenue. It's not the main way that Alphabet makes money off of YouTube, which is why they can continually say, oh, YouTube has been in the red since its inception. They can always say it has never made money. But it doesn't matter if YouTube makes money. It's what they're selling from YouTube, what the result of it is that makes the money for it. So, it's very inauthentic is what I'm trying to say when they claim that they don't make any money. But they run just insane amounts of servers. Nobody can compete with it. Nobody can just like allow the same amount of freedom like if you go on Vimeo, you have a very staunch upload limit unless you pay for it. If you go on Dailymotion, you can't upload more than a gig at a time. They don't have robust advertisement systems, so like they don't have like a clear way to make money, and just they all just suck in comparison to YouTube. YouTube is just extremely user friendly, in spite of the fact that they make weird changes and sometimes it doesn't work so well, and like they don't allow for like very much expression in the way you create your content or channel. But like, if there was a system whereby people got paid not because of the advertisements running on their channel or the ability to sell data, but because watching their video was in itself valuable, then they would make money purely off of making content and having people watch it. How much money you make is directly correlating to how many people are watching your video. DTube's system was that you, like, when people watched your video, it was like mining crypto through the blockchain, and that cryptocurrency was distributed to the creators based on how many people watched the video. So they were getting paid by just people watching it, which is the ideal payment structure for you as a creator, because it means all you have to do is get as many people to watch your fucking video as possible, and you're going to make money. And you can go about that any way you want. You can make any kind of content. Nobody's there to kick it off because it's, you know, it's not on a one person server. It's on the blockchain. Nobody can take this shit down, you know? So it would allow like tons of freedom for you as a creator. I got on it right away. Anthony Fantano, I think, did, and the two guys, the twins, the big black buff twins who do like bodybuilding videos.
Yeah, I don't know.
The fuck are their names?
I don't know.
I don't remember. They're the something twins, but they're a big like fit meme, I think.
Yeah.
And
which, as you can tell, we both regularly visit Fit.
Yeah. They're really fucking funny guys. The Hodge twins, I think.
That's
Yeah. They were on it and they had uploaded a bunch of shit. I think them going on DLive, because they had like the most success with like, I think they just said that they were doing it in their videos and they uploaded stuff consistently there. I think that them going on there like overloaded it and it was dead. Like it just couldn't upload any more videos. It would crash in your browser right away. And it was a pain in the fucking ass to use even as soon as I got on there, you know. But I had uploaded some stuff there that like I didn't think I could post on YouTube, like a music video that used like samples from songs that I didn't think, you know, I could post to YouTube or something like that. But like it just broke so soon after it was created, and it was just like, this is such a shame, because all it would take for this to work is the kind, you know, just like more people running the shit, you know. But there is now a way to circumvent all this, because while it doesn't have the built-in payment structure, you also have peer-to-peer streaming, which is what BitChute is.
Yeah.
And that's just however many people have like watched the video and like basically are like allowing themselves to seed it, then it will, more people are streaming it to you. So like if I have the video downloaded, and you can also do this, there's like a whole browser that's based on peer-to-peer, and this is the most, like, me and my friend were really obsessed with this last year because we were trying to go off the grid. Like, we were like, fuck Google. We're going to try to, like, not use any Google at all, if possible. We came crawling back because it's hard.
It's rough.
It's rough to not use anything Google, especially when I make my career off of Google currently. You know, like, I am a Google employee on some level right now. But I'm like really trying not to be, you know, while still being able to make as much money as I do. So like, this is the level of my shilling, is I'm willing to use Google products. So the level of literally everyone. I mean, I do use DuckDuckGo for my browser at least, but I have to switch back to Google for image searching, because DuckDuckGo image searching fucking sucks.
I kind of like it. I don't know. It goes
to porn immediately.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it fucking
sometimes.
doesn't filter out the hentai images, and it's like, I'm in public, dude. I can't do that.
Look, I'm telling you, you get your DuckDuckGo browser going in public, you search for whatever on the images, people are giving you a look, and you know what? They're respecting your choice of independent software when they make that. They arch that eyebrow. I'm like, the first fucking 25 results are porn. flick, flick, flick.
I mean, that's the world I want to live in.
Yeah.
But it's not always easy when I'm trying to look for thumbnails for videos.
Yeah, I can see
Google
that.
job.
No, the thing is, like,
Google helps you with your Google job. Google wants you to have easy access to images that you can use as your article headers because it's what everybody does. Like,
right.
Every single article, every single YouTube video, all just go to Google and use one of the first images they see. I know because I do it. And I use the same images other people are using. So, like, Google's doing it. They're doing it so this will happen. They want you to have material, you know?
Yeah. Do you use the search?
Yeah.
Do you guys use Google search or?
Well, I use DuckDuckGo for most of my searching.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm just I want to get a survey of like how many because like I use Google search for some stuff.
Yeah, I mostly use DuckDuckGo, but if I can't
just
find
because I have it set to my default, so
yeah,
that's what I'm gonna go to.
Well, I think Brave browser automatically says DuckDuckGo, and that's what I use. So.
Sometimes it resets.
I'm using Firefox currently. I had used Brave briefly, but I hated the layout of it.
I mean, it's like Chrome.
I just hated it. It has like a border around the whole thing that you can't turn off. It drove me insane.
I like it. It's very aesthetic. Looks like Deus Ex. You know?
It does look a little like Deus Ex. When you mention it, it's a little cyberpunk, I guess.
Now I kind of want to use Brave.
I wasn't around in the '90s as much, so you know the '90s cyberpunk aesthetic is not as. I didn't use AOL. I used so I never saw like the Windows in Windows effect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did you ever use AOL?
No, I mean I had a shitload of those CDs, but
dude, the way it looked was super weird because like everything was in its own separate window, and they would be like the idea of maximizing windows was not like really a popular conception at the time, I guess. Freaked me out when I would go to people's. I have to have my windows all at maximum at all times. I cannot fucking have like multiple browsers open.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
I don't know. I like to have as many browsers as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
full bore, all information.
Yeah.
Do you keep like notifications on everything?
Well, I have them set to auto allow. You know, because I love it when I go to a news website and it says, "Hey, we'd like to know your location, and can we send you notifications?" Yes, yes. Thank you, Gawker, whatever Gawker is now, Splinter.
Splinter, yeah.
Yeah, Splinter.
Yes. They splintered off.
Well, that's not actually what happened. Gawker
changed their name for no fucking reason.
No, they got sued by Hulk Hogan. Did you not hear about this?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the Peter Thiel thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but they got sued by Hulk Hogan, and he jacked them up. And so the whole company had been, like, Gawker Media had been absorbed by Univision earlier that year. So they still owned the whole Gawker family. But part of the condition of the lawsuit, like, the Gawker name now belongs to Hulk Hogan. And so they're...
Amazing. That's a hilarious fuck you.
I mean, you got to understand that from the perspective of certain people on the internet, like 2016 was the year that Donald Trump became president, like an internet troll became president of the United States, and Hulk Hogan, like, suplexed Gawker Media to death. Like, I know that everybody's very upset about 2016, and in some cases, very rightly so, but, like, for a certain section of the population, it was kind of the year. Like, if you were a fucking internet shit poster, if you were on fucking Fiad back in the day, and if you don't give a shit, like, 2016 was the year that, like, America just, like, threw up its hands and was like, fuck it! Fuck! You guys win! You're right, we suck! I don't know, because, like, the whole game of trolling, like, I dropped acid recently, and I wrote a message to myself that, you know, I try to keep in mind at all times. Trolling is the art of taking credit when things collapse on their own.
Yeah.
So this is what it is. It's like you find something that has like serious structural weaknesses, and you notice
usually a person.
Well, usually a person, but like actually more often like a concept, in my opinion.
I mean,
because I think there's
done with organizations quite often.
Oh yeah, like you find the thing that you find the tear that is going to bring the whole thing down, and then you just start saying that you've already done it, and it happens.
Yeah.
Like, because it was going to happen anyway, but now you've inserted yourself into the narrative in a, you know, hopefully an artful and funny way.
Right.
And, like, that was the thing, is, like, the whole like that whole section of the internet, which is very populous. You know, it's like 4chan's, it's 4chan, it's 8chan, it's the Chan situation.
Yeah.
Like they were able to create this circumstance where like they purposefully took on the title of being responsible for the greatest disaster in American political history, which is how the media views it, you know? And that responsibility got swamped. Like, fucking Joker is a movie about a fucking internet troll who doesn't use the internet because you can't show technology positively in old media right now. Like, you notice every magazine is how Twitter ruined my life, how Instagram destroyed my soul, you know? Oh my God, I got on BitChute once and then I ate a baby. Like, they're as scared of it. They're as scared of it as they are scared of LSD, and that's the fucking game that we're all playing at the moment. Like, you're talking about this blockchain shit. Do you know what people who work at fucking NBC talk about in their meetings? They don't, like they've got, well, I don't know either, but like the fucking like I know a little bit about people that work in like the actual media. Yeah. Like, and I hear the sophistication of the way that they're approaching the problem. Like, oh man, you know, readership's down, dude. Oh God, what's gonna happen? And the way that they approach that problem is like, you know, I hear environment is good now. Environment is in. Maybe more environment.
I'm a big fan of the environment.
Like they think that that's what a hashtag is, when it's like the game that we're playing here. It's like if you could actually get a blockchain based video platform that paid people out, yeah, like you could outperform Alphabet. Yes, it's not impossible. No, it doesn't actually require the construction of physical infrastructure. No, like that's the game of the fucking.
It takes technical know-how and people giving a shit, and hopefully money. Yeah. Like, and there's tons of people who would have tons of reason to invest in this, but nobody fucking knows about it. Yeah. And it's just a guy doing it, you know, like just making this thing kind of as an experiment.
So is that project just done forever then, or?
I think he just is like hoping one day it'll be, you know, like maybe I could try again. I don't know. I haven't followed up on it really, but like, you know, stuff like BitChute at least works, because even if it doesn't pay you out, at least the fact that it's peer-to-peer means that you can host fucking anything there. You know, like nobody's going to DMCA your video. So, like, I have a bunch of shit that... I have stuff that gets kicked off of Google Drive. Because I fucking... When I started, you know... I've had my YouTube channel taken down several times over copyright shit. I use anime clips. You have to be really fucking careful with them, and no matter what, you still can get copyright strikes. And if you get 3 of those, it doesn't matter if you win all 3 of them, your channel goes down, you know? And like if you don't fight them fast enough, you might not get in there to appeal them before your channel goes down. I've always been lucky that I never got like 3 at once and just died, you know? Yeah. But like usually I've appealed one of them. It takes 2 weeks for an appeal to go through, so your channel's down for 2 weeks. It's happened to me several times, you know? And like, so I have videos that I know I can't post on YouTube, and I have stuff that I might do just for patrons that I'll have unlisted. Still gets taken down if it has copyright material gets detected, right? So I start putting that stuff on Google Drive. It's stuff that's just for patrons, but they still send the scan bots through Google Drive like once a year. Kills a bunch of shit. So it's like, well, like this stuff can only exist on BitChute, and it does. And it's like, oh, this is completely viable. Like, we could upload anything here. It's kind of like a bastion of hope right now. And, like, a lot of people upload all their stuff there as backup just in case the day comes their YouTube gets terminated, you know? But it's like, there's still not really a pay structure. It's just like, hey, do you have a Patreon, or, like, people care about you, or you're not even making money? Like, you know, Razorfist has all his stuff on there. I don't think he makes any money off of YouTube.
He can't. I mean,
why not?
He doesn't upload that often, does he?
Oh, dude, he uploads all the fucking time. He's like becomes super prolific as a ranter, and like if people love him, if he opened a Patreon, he would be super successful. But he's like weirdly prideful about not doing it.
I don't know. I've liked most of the stuff I've seen, but I guess I haven't seen that much.
He's pretty cool. I mean, he's very much he's very much a right wing pundit. But
he had a Hollywood video that was really good. It was like
he has a ton of great videos. His defense of Michael Jackson is necessary, I think.
Yeah, actually,
people need to watch that because it's like
I like his videos about the shadow. Like he has a
that
deep...
seems like your shit. Would be all the 40s fucking comics and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, pulp stories, but the Shadow. Yeah, the Razor Fist has 2 great videos that are like an introduction to the Shadow. The character that it's basically the progenitor of Batman. It's like the version of Batman that makes sense, and Razor Fist has good videos about him.
Yeah, he does. He's a bunch. Yeah, he has tons of interesting... I mean, even his Metal Mythos videos are cool, but, like, I don't remember why I was talking about Razor Fist. Oh, he doesn't make any money.
He's on D-Live.
He doesn't...
Well, he's uploading his stuff on BitChute, but, like, it's all just his backup. Like, he's still on YouTube, but, like, you know... Well, all of us have to worry about, will we one day get censored off of YouTube? Like, you know, I say a lot of words that have gotten other people banned,
this sort of move, like, it's sort of a movement away from individuals on YouTube, you know?
Yeah.
Where they're putting tools and systems in place that favor, like, a more corporate environment.
Yes, like, we've become a big fan of Epicurious. Have you seen that channel? Mm-hmm. And Epicurious is, like, it's from, do you remember what magazine it was from? It was, like, it belongs to one of the major... like magazines, but it was like their food subsidiary. It was originally a magazine, now it's a YouTube show, and like I legit had never heard of it and just thought it was a YouTube show that was really ambitious, because it's just like shot on like, it's like an all-white set. It's a cooking show. They bring on like tons of people and they have them cook shit and talk about it, and they do like really creative formats of videos. Feels like a regular YouTube channel, but like it's fucking owned by like a major magazine. And there's tons of channels like Condé Nast. And there's tons of channels like this. And yeah, like those are the ones that are blowing up now. It's like stuff that's very like, oh, this is a type of video you enjoy, you know? So like watch more of this type of video, less so like this person. And I could see YouTube wanting to do that because people are volatile and like, you know, they've had to clean up after PewDiePie and what's his fuck? Suicide Forest Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Logan Paul, yeah.
No, it reminds me of Deus Ex, the reboot one, where they were just using holograms to create fake celebrities to control the flow of culture.
Yeah, that makes... I mean, they're going to get there.
Yeah, that's what
that's what Hatsune Miku is. Like, Hatsune Miku has no blemishes on her public record whatsoever, notwithstanding the ones that we've, you know, fabricated in our dojins.
Not never.
Actually, I hate to drop a red pill here, Digi, but Hatsune Miku is deeply involved in the defense industry. She's made several investments with Bell Helicopter, Union Carbide, Boeing. She was an advisor on the creation of Raytheon's ballistic missile defense system. Where she was paid very handsomely, apparently, but under the table. Because it's like, the whole chain of getting cryptocurrency transactions to the anime world is very difficult. I don't know how deep down this rabbit hole we could afford to go on a public audio stream, but, you know.
Look, as long as our holographic
I'm going to call this the CryptoMikuCast.
Hell yeah.
The CryptoMikuCast. Yes. Okay.
Do you think that'll be taken as... I think that'll be like too... Because crypto seems to be like a thing they call you if they think you're alt-right now.
Crypto-fascist.
Crypto-fascist. I don't want it to be a crypto-fascist podcast.
I'll be crypto...
People are already calling you that, though.
There are people who think I am a crypto-fascist. Have you heard of that term?
Yes. Oh, I've heard of crypto-fascist.
This room is just covered in Western art, you know?
Yeah.
It's, if I had to imagine a neo-Nazi... I'm thinking
entirely covered in Japanese women. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's we were doing this bit.
Although that's what Twitter thinks of it as, like, because it's anime girls' avatars on like sizable portion of the right wing Twitter account.
But that's the thing that people don't get, like, because people adopted it, you know, sincerely in the aftermath of the election. But like, seriously, this whole thing started with people asking themselves the question: how, like, if you're an anonymous internet troll. Okay, and people do this. Like, I have engaged in this probably straight for 13 years of my life.
Yeah.
Before I was like, I'm not gonna be a troll. I'm gonna project positivity into the world. Like, fucking internet trolls ask themselves one question, which is, if I have no name, I have no presence, I have no stable identity. How far can I get a thing that I post on the internet? How big can I get it to go?
Yeah.
And the first lesson is like, you want to get big, you make people angry. Yeah. And like after September 11th and Columbine, the U.S. media, like, you know, and the global media really, because it's like we're all kind of citizens of the United States at this point because we live in a fucking weirdo empire that exists as the result of the Second World War, when America was like the only country still standing. Like, the fucking media has been really aggressively pushing like you know, disastrous, horrible imagery as like the driver of news cycles. And like it's not because there's like some fucking grand design to do this. It's like, you know, the September 11th attacks were this massive, you know, changing event in how the media broadcasts tragedy. It's not just about the actual terrible fact of the attack itself. It's that the media had so many fucking angles of this thing, and it was so extensively broadcast. Right. Like it was just on a 24-hour loop, you know, for the first few days, and then it's constantly repeated. The imagery was constantly repeated. You look at something like the Kennedy assassination, which happened in a very different media environment with you know, much less poles of control. Those images were not splattered everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like those images were actually very contained. Like, you know, you could only really see Jack Ruby shoot like from like watching television live at the time. Right. Like it wasn't something that they were playing every night on the news, but like images of the smoke clouds, of the billowing, you know, the imagery was just inundated. And the same thing with Columbine. It's like that imagery, like, you know, filtered out into every corner of the media. It's like that horrific kind of imagery became a big driver of media. And so, like, there's always this fear, there's always this existential dread. The internet follows what the larger culture is doing because it's trying to hack into the larger culture. The troll community started getting, like, it started getting darker and darker and darker and darker because the culture around it was getting darker and darker and darker and darker. And like it got to this point where, you know, there are now people that are believing they're believing in the ethos of a thing that was created in order to like spread itself as brutally as possible across culture. Like it's speaking in the language of our times in a way that is like, you know, deliberately engineered to manipulate you into repeating the message. And like people are now following that fucking troll, that fucking like, how can I get my message out there, to the point of murder. Like it is advanced to a fucking crazy degree. Like this is why I was saying that like the internet is like, you know, using a computer is like using a fucking gun or something. It's a powerful instrument. And you know, it's we don't really know what we're doing with it yet. Like you start off, you make a post, you make everybody laugh, you know, and it metastasizes and it grows and it grows and it grows. It's like if you go into it with the intention of like if you go into it with the intention of just getting as popular as possible, we know how to create that idea. And it's like that is a hateful idea, it is a scared idea, it is a paranoid idea, and that is the kind of idea that controls people. Like everybody has access to a mass media machine now, and it's like you can actually like just figure out an explainer, you know, like you can look it up on WikiHow. Like how do I get a presidential candidate to fucking address my ideas, or how do I get a presidential candidate to message me? And it's like, well, you're gonna need to fucking become anime Nazis. You're gonna need to put on the little girl avatar. And you're going to need to post about how, like, look, I am not kidding. I am racist as fuck. And, like, you meet, you know, that's what the whole alt-right thing started as, is, like, how bad can we scare CNN that they'll talk about us? And now, you know, like, people are coming to it and they're like, yeah, this is what I fucking agree with. This is my fucking thing. It's fucking... The thing is, like, I don't blame the trolls because they were just following their prerogative. Like the prerogative of their whole design for all of their projects is to take just words on a screen or just an image and propagate it. And they don't really care how it propagates. Like they're amoral.
Yeah.
That is the activity of trolling, is to be like amoral in a way. But it's like we are now in a society that is so interconnected by this network that like our culture as a whole and our politics and like our locuses of power can be controlled by spontaneous cultural, events, like a bunch of trolls deciding to get famous without ever revealing their names. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, this is the problem, is now there's whole generations of people that are like, oh, these messages seem popular, so I want to get in on it.
Yeah. And
then they get fucking destroyed. I mean, people are losing their jobs for throwing up the fucking white power symbol, the OK sign.
Yeah.
That 4chan, was it 4chan?
Yeah. That's what we were saying earlier was, like they put out the images that said like Operation WP, we're going to tell the journalists that this means white power. And like you'd go on BuzzFeed and see the OK hand sign and in the headline, this is the new signal of white power. And then it would have the fucking image macro in the article. And they're like having to post paragraphs of moral rhetoric about like, even though we know we're getting owned, we're still going to let them do it. And it's just playing into this really stupid culture jamming. And that's all it really is it's like a cultural signal jamming so that things that are legitimately like not good can just fly under the radar.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's also like it's they're creating an environment of constant like they're creating an environment of paranoia because it benefits everybody for us to be paranoid and at each other's throats.
Well, yeah, I mean they've been doing mass media, on television for a very long time, and they've figured out quite nicely that they're not selling you the news; they're selling your viewership to advertisers. So if they just keep you really freaked out, you'll stay tuned in, right. And that's more people seeing the ads.
Yeah, because if the world's going to end tomorrow, you better buy the newspaper today.
Right.
But there's only so long you can play that fucking gambit. And like, this is the thing that I'm seeing. Like, basically, like, I'm fascinated by the fucking the total victory of the troll movement in the fact that like the president of the United States now has adopted their tactics and vernacular.
Yeah.
Like, that is fucking a crazy thing for the internet to have done. But I think that the old world of politics, which is just based on a lot of 20th century assumptions, especially about the mass media that drives it, it's just not there anymore. Like, it doesn't exist in the same way. And it's like the future of like the real decisions that are going to be impacting the structure of the world, especially culturally right now, are things like the fucking blockchain video sharing. Like, there's actually technical solutions to a lot of like fucking societal problems at the moment that don't have to come out of like big corporations.
No. And it's I think that it would be like, I think artists in general underestimate how liberating it would be to not have to answer to any of these fucking guys. Like, it's not just about being able to say whatever you want. It's like what will be successful will be what people care about, know? Like, YouTube, because of the fact that if you want to make a living off of just YouTube ad revenue, you need to get a fuckload of views. And it's not hard to do that. You just have to talk about the right things in the right way. And, like, it helps to be a charismatic speaker, capable of reading and writing decently. Like, you don't even have to be that great, but, like, if you have some element of your presentation that sticks out. Like, but you just got to keep talking about the relevant shit. And you can do that in a lot of interesting ways, and plenty of people do it that I love and I watch. Anthony Fantano is a good example. Cover every album that comes out. It's fair. He's a very egalitarian approach to it. He's just like, I review whatever, whatever like a proper PR person sends to my desk. I will check it out, and if I have anything to say about it, I'll review it, So, like, I feel like, yeah, okay, I have no problem with that, and that works well in this system, but that's all that works well in this system. That's it. If you're not able to do something like that, this kind of charismatic, frequent, on-topic content, you can't survive on the platform. And not everybody should be doing that. There's more interesting things we can do, you know? And, like, YouTube, I mean, there's still plenty of weird shit that gets uploaded there just because it's the only place to upload shit, you know?
Yeah.
So YouTube will always be weird, but, like, so many people are being driven creatively to make content that will get them popular. And, like, so many people who are imitating it and failing. Like, there's way more channels with, like, 10,000 views, 10,000 subs that, like, only update once every 6 months and they just never take off. And, like, they fully intend to become a YouTuber, but they just can't work fast enough. And, like, you have to be able to work fucking fast. Like, it's just a requisite. You're gonna have to put out content twice a week if you really want to be successful. I mean, there's some people who put out more rarely if it's like a certain type of content that like everybody's gonna watch every video you do.
Yeah.
Like Captain Christian's a good example of that. You heard of that guy?
Mm-mm.
He's a guy who like he probably put out a video like once every couple of weeks, but like every single one is about some like major piece of pop culture that he's doing like a super well edited in-depth analysis of, like Adult Swim, whole history of Adult Swim video. You know, everybody's gonna watch that. So there's a level where you can kind of get the ability to take longer on a video, but it has to be like every video is a hit.
Yeah, I think Crobat's kind of like that. He takes big gaps.
Oh, Krobcat. I might be mispronouncing that, but like his videos are amazing.
Yeah, but he only uploads every
like maybe once a year. But the thing is, he does these videos that like I don't know how big they go in terms of views. They're big.
They're a couple million, I think.
But he does like it's literally just like actually you know what it is. You know what Krobcat's videos are. It's the Old Man Murray. It's the first Old Man Murray story, which was this Jurassic Park game came out in 1996 called Trespasser, which was part of Steven Spielberg's like interactive studio, and so it was this very pretentious promotion for the game that it was like this whole new experience in gaming, and like we sat idiot Quake 2 players down in front of Trespasser and they didn't even fucking know how to use a door. Like these fucking punks, these fucking dummies playing Quake. That's there's this whole thing in the 90s where people assumed that you were dumb if you played Quake, and I'm like, you know, motherfucker, it's like it's like playing chess with bullet trains. It's like
I always thought of that as a technical game. Like,
it's super technical.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
So they had this game Trespasser. I'm sorry.
No,
they had this game Trespasser that was super hyped in the lead up to it. Like the devs were really cocky and they were talking about how good it was going to be.
That's the first person one, right?
That's the first person one.
You like look down at your chest.
There's no HUD to see your health. You have to look down at your giant tits and there's a heart that fills up or goes empty. And you're just an arm and you manipulate the arm kind of like Black and White, except it's stuck on Mini Driver's weird polygonal like forearm. And you have to like pick up objects and interact with them. And like the dinosaurs were supposed to have a whole ecosystem. And it was like this living island you could interact with. So what Old Man Murray did, the very first article on the greatest video game website of all time, Old Man Murray, was just taking clips from a site's preview of Trespasser where they're like, the physics are going to break new ground.
Yeah.
Literally. You're going to be able to dig to China in Trespasser. And then they would put a quote from that same site's review where it's like, the crates like fall through the floor. You know, I can't walk. The air is full of smog. The game crashed like 8 times. And it's just nothing but preview, review, preview, review, preview, review. And then a little afterward that's like, yeah, fuck you guys. Don't believe the hype.
Yeah.
And it's fucking, that's what Krobcat does. He literally just makes these charismatic re-edits of fucking cringe moments from the lives of like big failures in the video game industry. So like,
yeah, he did one about like the new Gears of War and just comparing it to the old one.
Yeah.
He did a big one for Crackdown 5. But I think he also
he did one on the Ouya.
I don't know why I said 5.
The Ouya.
Yeah, that was his favorite one.
His best video is the Ouya, because the thing is like this format of post, whether it's done video or in text, it succeeds or fails based on the ridiculous contrast between the like promise and the result. And it's like the Ouya provided the greatest fucking contrast.
You know, that makes me interested in talking about something, because you guys watch Red Letter Media.
Yeah.
Like something about them that like I think a lot of people don't understand. People always want more Plinkett videos. Oh shit, that's the pizza.
Oh shit.
Should we hit pause?
Didn't you tip with the order? I don't know, whatever you have, I guess.
I'm sorry, I'm slurring my words. I'm sure I sound like an idiot.
I'm stoned, so I'm doing the
I'm stoned, and I'm also.
I forgot we're podcasting. Still,
yeah,
too.
right.
I just thought we were having a conversation, and then I was like, "Oh, Pizza's here."
Well, I was,
I can
I'm
completely
sitting here,
disrupt.
like, trying to talk, and I'm saying like Crackdown 5 instead of Crackdown 3, and then I'm like, "Oh no, I made a mistake. Let me make more." But I don't know. I think the 4 hours of sleep's hitting me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I think we got a lot of like. Do you have a thing you wanted to cover, or you want to break for pizza?
Oh, well, what were we talking about with? I was just gonna talk about a little bit about Red Letter Media.
Right. Yeah. Let's do it.
So yeah, like the Mr. Plinkett reviews are what made them famous, and like people were always asking for more of that, and like when they started up Half in the Bag, it was kind of a contentious series because there's a lot of people who are like, I just want more Mr. Plinkett, and it seems like the fact that you're working on this means you're not working on that. Because the Plinkett uploads got rarer and rarer, and he was, just covering kind of random movies. But, like, what I think people didn't understand is that the power of the Plinkett reviews wasn't just the quality of the reviews, it was that it was the Star Wars prequels.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, there is no more interesting story of failure in film than this one. It's, like, in nerd culture. You know, like, this is the apex of something that was the most looked forward to it could possibly be, being the most disappointing it could possibly be. And, like, I think up until those videos, I don't think there were a lot of people who felt like, wow, the prequels are fucking terrible.
Should I bring the pizza in here?
No, we'll go out there in a little bit. I don't know if there were as many people who felt that way. It's just like, yeah, I didn't really like them. Or, like, having that weird feeling like, I don't remember them being that good. Or, like, I don't return to them, And then, like, you watch these videos and you're like, now it all makes sense. Like, I understand these movies were bad, And so that became, like, the understanding of those movies. And these videos got a shitload of views. But it's like, there's no other movie they could talk about that you can tell the same story of it's special because it was Star Wars. And so, like, he covered other things like the Indiana Jones 4 or the Ghostbusters remake. Like, these are comparable stories. I thought the Ghostbusters Plinkett video was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I thought it was fucking excellent.
And so, like, but, like, Half in the Bag is, like, this can always reliably exist. It's just two guys talking about whatever movies just came out.
Yeah.
It's always going to be interesting to the audience. It's always going to be something they can do. But the reason that you come to it and that you don't think of it as, like, cheaply made content is because they have a full set, they have good camera work, they have clever editing, they're filmmakers, they're completely independent, they're supported just through Patreon and ad revenue and selling shit, but it's still enough to pay for like 6 people to live their whole fucking lives, and that's because they talk about all the popular relevant shit, but they just put a twist on it and make it something that isn't shill shit, and then they make fun of all the shills, and so like that gives them like primal branding, where it's like people, when you have an enemy, your fans become even more like invigorated to follow you, so it's like. Sure. The fact that they have painted the enemy in, like, Disney and streaming sites and, like, and people, like, our opinion, obviously falling on the correct side of all these issues and being like, yeah, these are the only guys with this big of a platform calling out Disney. And it makes it feel like that's a mainstream counter opinion to have. Like, you're safe in having this opinion because there's a big channel saying it. We're all in agreement. We don't like this. They're pointing shit out that makes you not like it, So you go, yeah. But they're also honest, and they'll tell you if they think the movie's good, because not all the Marvel movies are bad, I think.
I mean, I don't think
Guardians was fun. Like,
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I actually enjoy watching the Marvel movies. Yeah. Like, I enjoy them on a moment-to-moment level. I'm a little, like, I'm trying to figure out what I think about the prevalence of superhero narratives right now. And, like, the main thing that I can say at the moment is, like, it's very profitable for Disney to sort of produce these condensations and intensifications of years of comic book continuity, because that's what the movies are. I mean, some of them are more created out of whole cloth. Like, Guardians, I think, is pretty original, like, based on the comic. Compared to the comic, I mean.
Yeah. I mean, it was a comic, but it wasn't that lineup even.
Well, the Guardians, there were, I think it was like, a lot of the Marvel movies end up, like when I say that they're this accumulation of cultural data over 80 years, I'm not saying that this is like, these movies are made by like great reverent otaku that like sat down and were like, what would be the most artful rearrangement of these beautiful themes that I love. It's people saying like, okay, what can we take out of like stuff that has worked with this character before that people will remember if they're in a position to remember it, and what is in like what's right in front of us. So like the Guardians of the Galaxy has the cast of the Guardians of the Galaxy comic that was going on, I believe, at the time. But like the original Guardians of the Galaxy were like this just really weirdo team that had nothing to do with the movie that got made. But like the movie that got made had like the Groot character, which is actually a character from Marvel's old 1950s monster comics. And he actually, like, he talks in complete sentences. It's a Jack Kirby story about an evil tree that shows up on Earth and is like, fuck you, humans. It's actually pretty good. I don't know.
It's called I Challenged Groot.
Yeah, I Challenged Groot.
Yeah.
Great cover.
Title.
Great
I
cover.
have it actually with me if you want to see it later.
Yeah.
Cool.
But, so he ended up being brought back in the, like, because it was the Guardians of the Galaxy that was part of, like, Annihilation, right? Or, like, contemporary to Annihilation.
Yeah. I think it was the one that started. The art was weird in it. I don't know. I didn't vibe with it.
But wasn't that the team? Like, it was basically the team like you see in the movies?
Yeah. It was that or very close.
But it did predate the movie, but it's like, you know, they're not condensing the whole thing. They're just like, they're creating this collage of stuff that has worked before. Like in the way that you're talking about, like, shaping YouTube content. Yeah. You know, like, what's work, like, do you want to talk about Big Anime Face thing? Or is that
my Big Anime Face project?
I was thinking just your theory of like creating video thumbnails.
Oh yeah, the Big Anime Face is that I just put the biggest anime face possible in my thumbnails, and like it immediately grabs your attention. Like generally, it is just common wisdom in YouTube. Like YouTube themselves, they do, like, you know, for bigger channels, they do like seminars and shit, and we'll tell them like, here's ways to enhance your content. Like Game Theory is known for doing this. He, like, consults with people on how to grow their channel, and it's like the common wisdom is put a big picture of a face in there, like person's face. If you have a handsome face and you're the channel creator, put your face in there and make a funny face. You know, funny faces, most clicks. But like with anime, you can reach all anime fans with a cute girl face, because there's nobody who likes anime and doesn't like cute girls. You know, like, even if you're not into cute girl anime, you're into the cute girls in the anime that you like. You know? So if I put Faye Valentine's face real big, there's almost nobody who doesn't think Faye Valentine is a cute girl and they want to see it, you know? So, like, that video I have, You're Gonna Carry That Weight, like, the title is, like, a reference to the show that could mean fucking anything. Like, you have no idea what video you're about to click on. And the thumbnail is just a picture of Faye when she's tied up, you know? So it's like a sexy thumbnail. And then you click on the video and it's like this sobering, depressing, like, fucking memoir that I recorded literally unscripted, drunk in my closet. Like, I just was drunk and sat down and rambled about Cowboy Bebop for like half an hour, cut it down, and made it, had my editor turn it into art. Because his editing was so good. And
Dude,
it was like,
the music in that too.
Yeah, he put the music in, he did the visuals, and like, my editor, I did not give him any direction on almost any of the videos. Like, I would tell him maybe a few specifics, but I just let him have total reign over it. And he would turn some of my videos into, like, these amazing videos. And, like, it's like this video it would be nothing if he hadn't edited it, you know, because it was just an unscripted rant, you know. But yeah, that's a good example of that.
Dude, but this is what I'm saying is, like, you're actually being much more clever and intentional with it than I think that the people composing the Marvel movies. It's like, it's a greatest hits and what would work best of a lot of accumulated, like, you know, commodity mythology. Yeah. Like, superheroes are a fucking very interesting thing, and I think that they're very tied in with the way people see themselves in the 20th century, which is why there's such a massive, like, you know, like, they now make superhero movies that, like, pull down the GDP of a small nation in profit. Like, I mean, that's maybe overstating it,
no,
but, like,
not even.
But they're the most popular stories in the world right now. They're enjoyed everywhere by everybody. When I was living with the Moroccan guy in the warehouse, we were watching every new Marvel movie when it came out with Arabic subtitles and a gambling website
I was stayed in the Philippines for a month, and I mean it was just as big there, if not bigger, because they have billboards fucking everywhere. So like, you see even more of the superheroes just because there is more media saturation in your environment. But like, I saw Green Lantern there.
Yeah. Oh man, I haven't even seen Green Lantern.
It was not good.
What language did they play it in?
It was in English.
Okay.
Was it subtitled?
Not the one I saw. I mean, like, there's a lot. It's weird because, like, educated people can generally speak English in the Philippines, but not a lot of people are, like, super educated,
Yeah.
So, like, you don't encounter people, like, on the streets typically who can speak English, but if you were, like, at a restaurant or something, your server could probably speak enough English to talk to them. I wasn't in the places where white people go in the Philippines. I was in, like, the heart of Manila in, like, just, like, exploring the city because my friend was, like, yeah, like, why would I take you to, like, tourist spots? Like, you're here to learn, I don't know how I just ended up talking about that. Superheroes.
We were talking about
popular
how
everywhere.
Yeah, they're popular everywhere.
And Ben 10 was really fucking big in the Philippines.
For real?
Hey,
Ben
Dwayne
10
McDuffie.
was on the same level as any other superhero.
Fuck
Pretty
yeah,
cool.
Dwayne McDuffie.
Is that his name?
No. Dwayne McDuffie. Dwayne McDuffie did.
Did he create Ben 10?
I think he created Ben 10 or he worked on it. But Dwayne McDuffie wrote the JLU series, Justice League Unlimited, and he wrote Deathlock in the '90s. Like, he was a fucking really, really good comic book writer. He's sadly dead now.
If he gets any royalties off of Ben 10 toys, then he is definitely a fucking millionaire.
Well, he's
You're making a live action Ben 10.
That's true.
Like, why?
It's still happening. Ben 10 is like
It's a great
franchise.
Yeah.
it's a great.
They just
I mean,
rebooted it again.
look, like, I don't know much about Ben 10. I know a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this: Dwayne McDuffie is a good writer. I definitely believe he can write for a tween audience, which I believe is and he could do it in an intelligent way.
It's a well done tween show. Like, I don't think it's any worse than Teen Titans. Like, because I've recently tried to rewatch a bunch of episodes of Teen Titans because I got paid to rant about them.
Yeah.
And I thought the show did not hold up in any way. Like, I was completely not into it. So, like, when I think about it, though, I'm like, Ben 10 was exactly as enjoyable to me as Teen Titans is now. Like, because I was, I was older when Ben 10 came out, so I was just like, oh, this is dumb shit. But it's like, if I had been 10 when that show came out, it would have been my world. Like,
Well, it's marketable because he's got all the different alien forms with the toys.
right.
Yeah.
He's got a good supporting cast, which, like, very often, superhero stories, especially in kids' TV, can end up being like, kind of light on supporting cast. It's
Yeah.
like they're in a team or like, you've got to have a good supporting cast for your superhero. And he's got his uncle who looks like Jack Kirby driving the fucking RV around.
Right.
It's like a fucking... I see that there's all kinds of fucking intricacies to the Ben 10 thing. Like,
Yeah.
he's got a reverse number and there's like different
It's a
matrices.
complex universe, and like when you
Yeah.
get to like the season where they're like older, it's like it's an ongoing story. It's not just like episodic all the way through. So it's like it's like a proper comic book show.
But that's that's the thing is, like, superhero story is not a hard thing to replicate. Like, you were talking about autism being this sort of way that people think about things in, like, more or less of a database fashion, where you're
Yes.
accumulating lists of similarities and differences.
Right.
And like, American comic books definitely function along those lines, where it's
Right.
like you've got Flash 1, Flash 2, Impulse. Every character explodes into this network of characters. But it's because there's this archetypal story which is at the center of all of it. Like, in all of these fucking very successful media forms, like movies and radio and music, there's this idea that basically the Superman idea, where because then in the pulp stories you had characters that were like basically Batman, basically Superman. Like, Doc Savage literally has a fortress of solitude.
Yeah.
And he's he's not super strong. John Carter had Superman's power set, but like, there were all these pulp heroes who had like the physical abilities, or they had the super smarts or the wherewithal, or they were scary. Like, they had all those features of the super heroic aspect. Like, Doc Savage is the smartest guy in the world. He knows everything. Everybody's his friend. But then the big revelation is you get Superman, which is, okay, I am this super powerful individual, but at the same time I'm meek and mild, and I'm constantly clowned on by everybody around me. Like, I'm a joke and I'm the most powerful thing in the world. And I think the reason this idea is so appealing to people is because when you're living in modern industrial civilization, especially in the 20th century, like Superman leapt over tall buildings, like when what tall building meant was being redefined because we were raising giant steel scaffolds in New York to build these structures that just, you know, they were incomprehensible a generation before. Everything was built of stone and wood. Like, modern technology is like fundamentally transforming our lives, and it makes you feel like, you know, I am super fucking powerful, like compared to any human being who has ever lived ever. It's like we're flying through the fucking air, we're communicating instantly, we have all these fucking abilities that we haven't had before, but at the same time we feel cowed and defeated, and like, you know, we feel that we're not treated with our due respect, you know, because Clark, it's the Superman myth, you know, kind of plays it with a wink. Like, that's why Clark is always winking and smiling, because it's like they think I'm a chump, but I'm really the best guy ever.
Right.
But then you can create, like, either they have created the most popular stories in the world right now in the space between that, like, I'm super powerful and I'm a chump. Like, Tony Stark has all of the powers of the American military industrial complex. He's a fucking walking, like, weapon system. He's like Boeing personified, and his dad is named after Howard Hughes. Yeah. Like, he's has very overt political symbolism, but he's an alcoholic and he's kind of a wreck, you know. And it's the thing that I find creepy about the Marvel movies is like the way that they chose to modernize those stories and to make them like make sense on screen. Is everything got this like war on terror sheen over it. I mean, like, the original Iron Man, he gets fucking kidnapped by Mujahideen in Afghanistan. I know they have a dumb comic book flag, but he gets kidnapped and is put in an Afghani cave, and there's like lots of like Iraq war imagery. He's blowing up tanks.
There's like U.S. soldiers being shot in that opening scene.
Yeah,
like, it's intense. It was on at a bar that I was on. I was like, what the fuck is this? This is Iron Man? I hadn't seen it in years.
So like to go a little later in the Marvel timeline, like, okay, in Civil War, Falcon, like, okay, in the comics, my boy Falcon has a fucking falcon named Redwing, and Redwing's his buddy, and he's got an animal companion, and Redwing will fly around and fucking claw at your eyes and fuck you up. In the movies, they have to put Redwing in. It's too silly to have a falcon, so the solution that they've come up with is he has a drone.
Yeah.
You know, like, they're full of the, like, in the fucking second Avengers movie, there's like a wall spray painted with Iron Man with 2 M16s, and it says, Iron Man, go home. And it's like, it's explicitly like, the people don't want the U.S. there, but like, then a robot Iron Man descends from the sky and says, please back away. We are here to help you. And it's like, there's all of this message of just like, the whole Marvel thing, and like Tony Stark is the fucking main character of this whole fucking 30 movie series, and, you know, obviously he died in the last one, and the message of the whole thing ends up being like he has a moment where he talks to his dad, who is like explicitly the biggest arms manufacturer in America, the man who's responsible for the atom bomb, and they have this like, you know, was it all worth it? Yeah. All the Marvel movies, like, what they come to in my mind, like, for, because I've had a good time watching all of them. I can, like, quote them chapter and verse, apparently. I'm discovering to myself now. And, like, at the end of it, the whole point is, like, look, fucking being in charge of the world, being the American military machine that runs everything, like, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes people hate you. Sometimes they don't understand. You're just trying to help. Sometimes you get drunk. Sometimes you break something up. Sometimes it all falls apart around you, but you know what? At the end of the day, I love my kids, and I'm the best guy ever, and you all want to be me. By Raytheon. And then he fucking snaps his fingers.
By Raytheon.
By Raytheon. Like, Captain fucking, like, you know, Captain America, Jack Kirby, Joe Simon, like, they created this fucking, he's, like, you look at those fucking old 40s Captain America stories, they're super fucking charismatic. Like, Jack Kirby was doing, like, Will Eisner style fucking, like, settings. They're very creative fucking layouts for some of them. Less so Captain America Commie Smasher from the 50s. That was not a great series. But when they brought him back in the Avengers comics in the 60s, like, he comes out of the ice and he's fucking bereft. He's like in mourning because Bucky is dead, and he just keeps auditioning a series of new Buckys that like work out to varying degrees. But there's literally like he meets the Hulk's teenage sidekick who, because the Hulk comic was canceled, was like going around between the Marvel titles, and he's like, "Try it on, son. Come on. Let's go out and get in some adventures." And he's like, "I don't know about this, Cap. This feels really weird." Like, there's these basically the Marvel comics in the 60s were like this kind of tongue-in-cheek, like a little bit downbeat thing where they were like they used to put this brand on the Fantastic Four, like Marvel pop art comics. Like, it was designed to be like these like weird artistic experiments that just kind of had words written over them, and like that was the whole Stan Lee connected universe. Like, that was basically marketing. And the whole thing was like, we're going to give these artists an opportunity to just create unforgettable images. And that's Steve Ditko and that's Jack Kirby. And they created the whole fucking, all the iconography. And now that iconography is like, you know, because like they were fucking explicitly talking about these issues, like the military industrial complex and like Cap being a soldier and all this stuff. Because it was like, it was that time, it was their life experience, and they were making like to them a comic book had to be patriotic and a little bit arch. Yeah. Like, and so they're patriotic and they're a little bit arch. But it's just gotten to this point now where it's like it belongs to the biggest media conglomerate in the world, and all of that imagery, all of that good work, all of that interesting creativity is like the fucking moral fable of how hard it is for the American imperial hegemony to sustain itself. So I don't know. I'm gonna give the Marvel movies a 3 out of 5.